Yo, what up? This is D Knight from the Part of the Insurrection podcast, coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, courtesy of none other than Tennessee Brando. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. My man's on pace to hit 300,000 YouTube subscribers, an incredible milestone, and we can all make that happen together. And of course, it's been a whirlwind week since the unprecedented act of President Biden, the current sitting president of the United States, dropping out of the 2024 race just 100 days before the election is set to take place. Now, while not a single vote has yet to been cast, it is time to talk about the possibility of Kamala Harris becoming the first black woman president of the United States and what her and her campaign have done over the course of a single week to set that in motion and all the momentum she's been building. And for starters, she's united the party, at least in terms of elected officials. Moments after Biden announced that he would be dropping out of the race, he sent his endorsement. Numerous endorsements from within the party were soon to follow, all the way up to prominent voices inside the Democratic Party in elected office. The Nancy Pelosi's and such, the Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, and numerous Democratic governors and such, but also she received the fabled endorsement from the Obamas.
Kamala!
Hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, hi, you're both together. Oh, it's good to hear you both.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh, my goodness. Michelle, Brock, this means so much to me. I am looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road. But most of all, I just want to tell you the words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express. So thank you both. It means so much. And we're going to have some fun with this too, aren't we?
After uniting a party that seemed to be set to go to war with its own president just a couple of months before an election, she has silenced numerous media narratives, and in a judo-like fashion, she appears to have taken President Biden's greatest weakness and made it her strength and made it the weakness of her opponent, Donald Trump.
Her winning the presidency, this country having an adult in the White House in 2025, that's all that matters.
And the age issue is off the table.
For our party.
What,
Now that it appears that Trump is the old man at the club, you have to be wondering if Republicans regret engaging in a multi-year-long campaign, making the claim that Biden is unelectable because of his age. Apart from flipping the media narrative, immediately after President Biden announced that he was dropping out of the race, Black women organized a massive grassroots fundraising campaign that went viral and spread to numerous other groups. And since, I believe, Kamala Harris has now raised close to $250 million upon the announcement that she'd be running for president in Biden's stead.
Okay, earlier this week, we brought you the news of how on Sunday night, after President Biden dropped out of the race, the activist group Win with Black Women literally almost broke Zoom, organizing a call with 44,000 people to make sure Kamala Harris wins the White House this November. In 24 hours, that one Zoom call raised more than $1.5 million for the Harris campaign. And at 44,000 people, the call was only about 1,000 people short of the world record for the biggest Zoom call ever. Now, the world record held for another 4 days, but it was broken last night. Last night, an event called White Women Answer the Call held their own Zoom to organize for Kamala Harris, inspired by Sunday's Win with Black Women call. That Zoom took the previous world record for biggest Zoom call and blew it out of the water. And remember, this week started with the news that Kamala Harris had raised a record $81 million in her first 24 hours as a candidate. So the fact that these Zooms were still getting people to donate even after that surge of cash is not nothing.
While I personally don't place a huge weight on public polling, Polls were one of the instruments used to pressure Biden to drop out of the race because it showed him faring poorly against Trump in November. And given that fact, it would have been catastrophic for the Harris campaign if polls showed her to be an even weaker candidate than President Biden. Well, quite to the contrary, it showed that she has likely erased whatever Trump's perceived lead was in numerous swing states. And we have Fox News relaying that information to their audience.
Michigan registered voters put her and the former president at 49% each. That's 3 percentage points better than President Biden was performing. In Minnesota, the presumptive Democratic nominee is up and has a 6-point advantage there. They are both tied at 49 in Pennsylvania. And former President Trump has a 1-point lead in Wisconsin. Those results are comparable with the Trump versus Biden numbers. Many of the new polls coming out nationally and in the swing states have been within the margin of error in this new race.
The Harris campaign social media team is also on fire. The Twitter rapid response page, Kamala HQ, I believe, started off at a few 100,000 Twitter subscribers and is now over 1 million. Also, she joined TikTok. I think that account is over 2 million subscribers at this point, and they are always on the attack, and they're constantly putting out viral content like this video of Trump basically giving Kamala Harris an endorsement.
She's got a new line, you know. She's going, I'm the prosecutor. She's one of the worst prosecutors in history. She destroyed San Francisco. I'm the prosecutor, and he's the convicted felon or something. A radical left judge in an area where every one of these cases, every one of them is brought by them. So think of it. They get me to that position, and then their campaign says, I'm the prosecutor, and he is the convicted felon. That's their campaign.
Not only is the Harris campaign building incredible momentum with fundraising and social media, actual media, now that they no longer have the cudgel of Biden's age to bash him with and obsess over, they're actually forced to cover Trump in his campaign, and they're discovering something we've all known for years that's actually been highlighted by his pick of J.D. Vance as vice president. It's that Republicans are weird.
Using that term weird, by the way, we continue to point that out. Kamala HQ, that's her campaign on X, just put out 3 minutes ago a quote from J.D. Vance of him saying, I certainly would like abortion to be illegal nationally, unquote, from J.D. Vance. They quoted him on that, the Harris campaign, and calling it, this is weird behavior. Weird, weird, weird. Everything about, again, Vance is weird. Does Vance actually have a problem? And then how about the campaigning using that term weird for Republicans?
I'm sure you've all seen the memes by now. It's extraordinarily difficult for a candidate to win over public support when they're having to defend allegations of having a sexual relationship with furniture. But not only is the weirdo factor extraordinarily difficult for them to overcome, they're also struggling in terms of racism and xenophobia as it's prevalent in the Republican Party, as we see here with J.D. Vance having to defend loving someone who's not white, his wife.
Look, I love my wife so much. I love her because she's who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person, and we've been attacked by some white supremacists over that. But I love Usha. She's such a good mom.
Now that Harris is the presumptive nominee, the media has been forced to abandon its obsession with Biden's age and cover the campaigns in terms of the actual candidates. And because of the shakeup in the Democratic Party, millions more Americans are now paying attention to the election months before they normally would. And they're being confronted with the Republican Party's most obvious weakness. Their candidate is insane.
We're okay, but, you know, I have 50,000 people. Elvis didn't have 50, and he had a guitar. I had no guitar. I didn't have the use, right? Elvis had a guitar. He had a lot. We love Elvis, right? But he had a guitar. I don't have a guitar. So would have, like...
While the election is far from over, all of the momentum appears to be in favor of Vice President Harris. And while I personally prefer to read about history than live it, if we have the possibility of having the first woman as the president of the United States, I would like to play a role in creating that history, and I hope you would as well. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Give it a thumbs up to help out the algorithm, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you would like, you can find me on my personal podcast, Pardon the Insurrection, available everywhere that podcasts are found, and also here on YouTube.